Welcome back to Creating a Legacy. This is episode 11 in the series, and in this video I'm going to take you through the first half of my 6th season in charge of West Ham. It's been a fairly quiet summer actually this time around. I've brought in a few players and quite a few players have left the club, but there's not been anything dramatic that has happened in between the end of season 5 and the start of season 6. Nothing dramatic in the life of West Ham, but in the life of Scotland, it has been very eventful. They have managed to win the European Championships of 2024. It's unbelievable. Look at this. They're managed by, well, they were managed. They're not managed by the man that won them the competition. They were actually managed by Steve Clarke at the time of winning this competition. It really was quite spectacular. Look at this. They beat France and Turkey in the group stage, lost against Spain, but then after that they didn't concede a single goal. They beat Denmark 3-0, they beat Holland 4-0, Croatia 1-0, and then Italy 3-0, beating two of my boys, beating Belotti and Pellegrini, who featured for Italy heavily in this competition. Unbelievable stuff. England actually lost in the second round, lost on penalties to Spain. Declan Rice, of course, featured for England. Unfortunately, Max Aarons was out injured for 8 weeks. Remember, he didn't feature in the Champions League final, so he did miss out on the Euros, unfortunately. Getting back to West Ham then, we are actually rated as the top team in the world by Reputation. Unbelievable achievement. We started all the way down here. Was it 3.5 stars or 4 stars? I can't really remember. But we have made our way up to top spot, moving above Liverpool. Financially, still a long way down. We're the 13th biggest in terms of turnover in the world. Coefficients for European competitions were actually slightly below Liverpool. But it has been a magnificent few years for the club, hasn't it? If we just look at me as a manager. Win percentage 74%. I've played about to play my 300th game. The first game of the Premier League season will be my 300th game in charge of West Ham. And I've only lost 27 games in all competitions. How have I managed this? I just don't know. I'm known for quite a few things. Leading teams to title wins, that's a good thing to be known for. Not quite 5-star reputation yet, but I'll get there in the end, I'm sure. Anyway, let's take a look at the squad then for this 6th season. This is the first team squad. There's been a few new additions. I've promoted a couple players from the under-23s. And there's been a few players that have left. So let's take a look at the transfers. This is always the most exciting thing about the start of a new season. Analysing the squad that we have. So there's 4 players that have come in. And there's a few players that have left. If we just look at the free released players. I don't think we released anyone actually. Free transfers. Oh yes, a few players did leave on a free. Vashalko, the most notable. His contract ran out and he's moved to Sporting. And we released 3 youngsters who have moved on as well. The first player to leave the club this summer is the star of the Champions League final. And you might be surprised because, of course, he scored the goal on his Champions League debut, led us to victory against Liverpool. But realistically, he's not going to be first choice this season. Max Aarons will be first choice. And also we've got the Italian wonder kid that has come back from his loan spell at Swansea, who will be second choice. So I thought, let's give him some first team football. And he has actually moved to Birmingham City, who are in the Premier League. So he's going to get some Premier League experience this year. He's going to be their main starter at right back. That's just going to do him good, isn't it? I mean, I think it was just a sensible thing to do. Of course, it was an incredible story at the end of last year. And it seems a bit harsh to let him go out on loan, but I think for his development it's the best thing to do. We then sold one of the youngsters we brought in a few years ago for £1 million, £5 million to Huddersfield. Bit of profit for him. He's never going to be a first team star, so it made sense to get rid of him. Another youngster left the club, came through our under 18s and never going to be good enough. A few players gone out on loan. Seb Norman, Palmer, Cassini's the most notable probably of that lot. He's a really good striker actually, I like him, and he's moved on loan to Sheffield United, who play in the Championship. He's already got 1 goal in the Championship in his first ever game. A few more players going out on loan. Todorov, I've given him 1 more chance. He's just not developed, but he's actually gone on loan to the MLS for the second half of that season, so we'll see how he gets on in the States. Andelovic, something like that. He's gone back on a loan to Germany, to Paderborn. Hopefully he'll be a main star. I mean, he did get into the Dortmund team last year, so he is a quality player. But he's not quite good enough, I don't think, for the first team this year. So we'll give him another year out on loan and then see how he gets on next year in the first team squad, hopefully. Raballo as well, Colombian. I can't get a work permit for him. It's a bit frustrating. We've sold Vin Vliet. We didn't make a profit on him, unfortunately. £3 million down to 2.5. Farias, we made a good profit on him. Once again, another player we couldn't get a work permit for. Signed him for 350k, moved to Trabzonspor for £10 million. Brilliant profit. Serrano, another player we couldn't quite make a profit on. Actually, we did, 100k, but I think his previous club did get a bit of a share in that. So Serrano, another player we couldn't get a work permit for. There's just no point keeping them around, I don't think. Nikiforov has got 5 Cups of Russia now. I think we'll be able to get a work permit for him soon, but he's gone back on loan. He's gone to Montpellier in France. So that's a pretty decent team to move to, I think. He's a good winger. I like the look of him. I would have wanted him to play in the first team this year, but unfortunately, he just couldn't get a work permit. So lots of players have left the club. Daniel Hein, Austrian left wing, has gone out on loan to QPR, and Diallo has gone out on loan to Blackburn. That's probably his last chance. I've sold Elise. Never going to be first choice. He was our fifth choice centre back. He's moved for £5 million over to Turkey. Dario Jimenez, another player. I liked him. He's got really good potential, but unfortunately, I just can't get a work permit for him. And I've tried numerous times. He's not getting in the Colombian national team. I've sold him to Hertha Berlin, but there's a big sell-on fee, like profit. If they make a profit from him, we'll get 30 to 40% of that. Can't quite remember how much it is exactly. So I was reluctant to sell him, but I thought it kind of made sense at the time. Hopefully I don't regret that. AD Hyde has been sold to Doncaster for £500,000. Player came through our academy, never going to be good enough for the first team. He's an alright centre back. And then the biggest of all is Lokonga, our Belgian international. I did want to try and get more than £22 million for him. He's actually worth more than that. But no one wanted him for like 40-30 million pounds. And although he's a very good player, I want to promote our young midfielders that we've developed or that we've signed, and give them a chance rather than playing Lokonga. He's been a decent player for us over the years. We just have a look, you can see some goals and assists. Not so much game time last season, 1 goal and 2 assists in all competitions. It kind of made sense, and we sold him for a big profit as well. And also another youngster going to Bournemouth for £600,000. Okay, that's that done. Players coming in then. The first of which I did show you at the end of last episode. Diego Higuain, like an American Higuain or something. Now, remember, I did say because I've loaded the American League, the MLS, it came into play in January. A few regions have just randomly formed sort of in their mid-20s. There's a couple that I've noticed that are actually fairly decent. And this is one of them. He's been cut by USA Now. Signed him for 20 million. It's rising to £20 million, not £20 million up front. I mean, he's a good striker, and I think he's a good backup for Belotti this season. Of course, we've got Bateri, the Colombian wonder kid, as well. So we've got 3 options up front. I thought I needed another option up front. Next up, I think this could be a bit of a bargain. Iago Germano, another regen, 1 goal and 1 cap for Brazil. 21 years old. He's a shadow striker, so he fits into our new tactic wonderfully, really, because we obviously play a shadow striker these days with 3 in the attacking midfield positions. So he fits there. I wouldn't say he's an outstanding looking player, but he's got potential to improve. And he's a Brazilian international, so he's obviously got something about him, I think. And I think for £20.5 million, that's a bit of a bargain. He is one of the highest earners at the club, which is a bit of a gamble because he's obviously new. But I think it's a gamble worth paying. Next up, one for the future, Mattia Morelli, who's gone on loan to Portsmouth. He is really a shadow striker. Well, I want to develop him to being a shadow striker rather than a winger. I think he could suit that position fairly well if we can develop him. He's come in for up to 11.5, possibly more than that. It's at least 11.5 million pounds. This is a big gamble, actually, because it's a lot of money. Now, it's the second player that we've signed from Atlanta in the last couple of years, interestingly. So, yeah, we'll see what happens to him. He's got determination. He's a fairly determined chap. So hopefully he will develop. And lastly, 4 regens coming in, or new gens, whatever you want to call them. Nicolas Turco, or Turcho, an Argentinian winger, left winger, 2-star current ability, lots of potential, and he has come in for £6 million. There is a profit sell-on fee thing as well, as there usually is with these players coming from South America. I like the look of him. He might break into the first team at some point, simply because we don't really have another natural left winger other than Dilrosun. So I thought I'd take you through the first team squad quickly, just to reintroduce you to the players, and also you can see how good they are now. Of course, Odero is our number one goalkeeper. I was unable to find another goalkeeper, really. There's not many out there. I mean, there's a few older goalkeepers that are considered world class. Edison, Alisson, Courtois, De Gea still. Those sorts of goals, Ter Stegen. They are world class. But they're a bit older and I want to sign younger players. So I couldn't find someone that was actually better than Odero, who was younger than him and wasn't a ridiculous price, I suppose. Cardoso is still here, and I've given him a new contract, actually. I think he's a good backup option, and the partnership between him and Perozo is good. I mean, that's a good, solid backup partnership there. Max Aaron's still here. Obviously picked up that injury in the summer, but he's back ready for the start of the new season. Described as an elite fullback. He really is an exceptional talent. Declan Rice, club captain, what a player he has. He keeps improving. He's got 42 caps and 3 goals for England, 25 years old now, in his prime, and he will be in his prime for a few years. Still fairly young. Todibo, one of our elite centre-backs, 6 caps for France now, has finally managed to break into the French national team and done all right for them. And alongside Martinez, we have got a top-quality centre-back partnership for the next few years. Another elite centre-back, and he's left-footed, so they just work together beautifully. Luca Pellegrini reached the European Championship final, of course. Still only 25. I'm kind of surprised he's not described as an elite fullback as well. He really is very good. Model citizen as well. 39 caps for Italy and 3 goals. Been here. How long has he been here now? In fact, he's been here since the second season, hasn't he? He's really been very, very good for us. Wagnerman. Now, I almost sold him. Chelsea put in a bid on transfer deadline day. I think it was about rising to £55 million with very, very good sell-on fee profit thing. But I basically said at the start of the summer, if I got a £100 million bid for him, I would sell him, which seems ludicrous. But I don't need to sell him. I can't find a better backup left back. He is so good. He's on the cusp of being a world-class left back, I think. And he can also play right back. Obviously, wing back positions as well, and even centre back, actually, looking at that. So I was so close to selling him, and I decided not to because it was deadline day. I didn't have a backup left back. I didn't need the money, so I've kept him. I really like him. He's a quality player. Amato, he's come back. He's been promoted to the first team. Was out on loan at Swansea for the second half of last season. Got them promoted to the Premier League. I really like him. I mean, he's more of a defensive fullback, but he's got decent crossing. Need to improve the dribbling going forwards. I mean, technically, not the best. We can improve upon that, I'm sure. But he's pacey. He's got stamina, agility, strength. Mentally pretty good in places. And he's a wonder kid. He's only 20 years old. Been capped 10 times by the Italian under-21s. So he's going to be back up for Max Aarons this season. Still got Pablo Fornals, our model citizen, who's mentoring multiple players in training. If I just quickly show you a second. There we go. Got lots of players under his wing. We've got 3 groups here. Pellegrini, also a model citizen, although he doesn't have as much of an influence, probably because he's a bit younger. Fornals has significant influence. And that's the reason why I've kept them, really. I potentially might sell him next year, be 29 next summer, and still probably in his prime, but which will be a good thing because it means he'll still be valuable. But he'll only have 1 year left on his contract next summer. So it's something to think about. I don't know. He was a main starter last year, but I'm not sure about this year. I'm probably going to play I'm going to give Olmo a go here and Germano, our Brazilian, a go as the shadow striker. If that doesn't work, I can play Olmo there and play Fornals in the advanced playmaker role. We'll see. I mean, it's early days of the season. I've only played 1 game so far, which I'll show you in a second. Next up, Weston McKennie. He's still here, the American. I think it helps to have an American. I think it helps for shirt sales and that sort of thing. He's a good player. I mean, he's different to what we have. He's a different option in midfield. He's a box-to-box midfielder, but also a ball-winning midfielder with that aggression, bravery and tackling. The media description, as I said before, is perfect. Tenacious defensive midfielder. Lewis Shepherd, a wonder kid that we have produced ourselves. Came through our academy 3 seasons ago now. Played a few games last year. Got a goal, got an assist, good average rating. I want to try and promote him and play him quite a bit in the advanced playmaker role, if possible. I mean, that dribbling of 16, flair. He's not really a passer. He's only got 13 on passing and 12 on vision. It's just gone up. I think it started on about 10, to be honest. So he really has improved. I really have high hopes for him. He's quality. I promoted Che Lane simply because he was so good on loan at Portsmouth for a team that... Did they get relegated in the end? I can't quite remember. No, they didn't. He kept them up. He just about kept them up. And, well, actually, they were in the relegation zone when he arrived, but he really did transform the team. Unfortunately, Forest Green and Oxford, who he had players out on loan at, did get relegated, but Che Lane kept Portsmouth up, scored 4 goals, good average rating, and I like the look of him. 17 passing. He's good all-round midfield. I think 15 on free kicks is always useful. So I've put him in the first team. He's available for the under-23s, but I don't know. It might play the odd League Cup game. Of course, we've looked at Iago Germano. Really like the look of him. Cameron Kemp, our 21-year-old right winger, was described as a wonder kid until recently. I don't know if it's because he's now turned 21, but he's just that classic winger, isn't he? And hopefully a winner as well. Pacey. He's got dribbling ability, decent crossing, can take a corner, good first touch, techniques, fine, flair. You know, he's just a classic right winger, and I'm hoping he'll push on. Katala as well, another player that can play on the wing. I kind of think he'd be better off playing as the advanced playmaker. I don't know what's going on here with everything going down. He's not really improved over the last year, but he's worth a lot of money. Another player that came through our academy, of course, been on loan a couple of times. Last year, I was very impressed with him. He scored 5 goals and got an assist. 4 goals in the Premier League, 1 goal in the Champions League. Yeah. Olmo. What a player. What a player. 26 years old now, in his prime. I think our most valuable player at the club right now, on 200k a week, of course. But he has been so good for us. It's just trying to find that perfect position for him. And I'm going to give him a go as that advanced playmaker, because he's brilliant at passing, great vision, dribbling. Oh, he's just so good. Dean Garner. He keeps doing it. He keeps playing really well for me. And I once again fairly close to selling him. I said if we got a £60 million bid for him in the summer, he would be gone. I had a £52 million bid from Wolves. I rejected it. It wasn't 60. And I'm glad I rejected it, because in the Community Shield against Man City, he scored an absolute stonker in the second half. Look at this goal. Dribbled and then boom. What a strike. In off the post. He's a good player. I hope he gets his England cap that he deserves. He's got into the England team a couple of times but hasn't been capped. And I'm surprised that he's been happy with such... I mean, it's obviously a lot of money, but a low contract compared to the players around him. He's just been happy to play for a top club, I think. What a brilliant attitude that is. So we won the Community Shield on penalties in the end. It was a crazy penalty shootout. So many penalties. But yeah, we got there in the end. They equalised in the 87th minute. That was a bit of a blow. But we got the win. So that's our second time winning the Community Shield. And we've won all our friendlies, as you can see. And the start of the season, we've got Bournemouth and then Chelsea in the European Super Cup. Hopefully we can win that one again. Of course, last year we managed to beat Juventus. Getting back to the team then, I've gone off topic a little bit. So Dilrosun is the best player in the team. He is world class. He's above world class. I mean, he's just so damn good. Signed for £49 million, remember. I mean, if anyone wanted to buy him, I'm thinking 150 million. There's just no point me selling him for under that. There's not even much point me selling him for 150 million. I've had a few problems with Viktor Sigankov, unfortunately. Still an elite winger, quality player, but he's unhappy. He's unhappy at the fact I didn't improve the coaches. However, I have actually improved the coaches over the summer. I mean, we've got such a big staff. Really, really big. I'll just quickly show you my assistant manager, who's been here a few years now, really good. We've got a good director of football in Pablo Longoria, and he's quite young actually. And then a regen technical director, Ismail Mir. I'm not entirely sure I think the technical... I know what the technical director does. I've told him to basically just do all of the staff contracts. I just can't be bothered. We've got so many. It's just so tedious going through and giving new contracts to all the staff. So I've just asked him to do that, basically. What was I talking about? I've forgotten. Oh, yeah, the coaching. So I've improved the coaches. If we look at... As you can see, there's loads of coaches. The coaching assignments, we've got at least 4 stars on every aspect of training. 5 stars in quickness, fitness, kind of rhymes. So yes, I'm happy with what we've got in the coaching department now. I've signed some very good coaches in the summer, and Paddy McCarthy came in. I think he's good, and I can't remember who else, but a couple good coaches. So I'm hoping he will be happy after that, but he's still unhappy apparently, and that might affect his performances. But Dean Garner can come in and play just as well, if not better. Luis Botaro, our Colombian wonder kid, scored a few goals last season. Maybe it was a little bit of a mistake bringing in a striker that will probably replace him on the bench. I'll probably alternate. I'll try and keep all the strikers happy. Remember, Belotti is 30 years old. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and this is the dilemma. Do I give him a new contract knowing that he will start to decline, his pace will probably start to decline? Or do we accept that he is quality? He scored so many goals for us. He scored 39 goals for us last year, of course. He scored 28 the year previously, and in his first year he scored 35. Do we accept that he's a quality striker and probably will still be in his prime for another year or two? If he's in his prime for another year, only a year, then I guess I'll be right to let. It's just I want to try and bring young players through. We've got such a young squad overall. If I just quickly show you the team report, and we'll compare with the rest of the league. Facts, here we go. Average age 24, which is below the Premier League average of 26. Belotti is the only 30-year-old in our team. He's the oldest player in our team. That is ridiculous. Most teams have 3 or 4 30-year-olds or 30-year-old plus, don't they? So we've done really well to promote the youth. That's what I wanted to do. If we just have a look at this, we've got the best in everything. Like this is the average, the highest average in the Premier. No, is it the highest average? Oh no, sorry, it's not the highest. Goalkeepers wise, we've got the highest command of area. Defence wise, we've got the highest strength and pace. Interestingly, but we're pretty much one of the strongest in most positions. Other teams in the Premier League have definitely improved their teams over the summer. By the way, they've signed better players. So, although we don't necessarily have the best in everything, we've got some pretty good ratings all around the team. If we have a look at the season preview, we're actually expected to finish third. That is the first time they've predicted that I'll finish in the Champions League places. So the pressure is on. If I just show you the transfer activity this summer. I mean, Man City signed a player for £83 million. Arsenal spent huge amounts of money on 3 players. This guy I've scouted quite extensively, but I don't really need a striker. He's obviously incredible. They've also spent... Arsenal seem to have spent big. Fabian coming in, and also Patrick, who trained from Wolves. He's a really good striker actually on the game. So there's been some big fees. My 2 key players, Dilrosun and Wagner, man, that is interesting. They've put him... I mean, he's my second choice left back, but he's one of my key players according to this. Looking at the youth then, got a few players out on loan as you can see there. And if we look at the under-23 squad, of course, some of the first team players are included in here. If we look at the highest potential, so Morelli, my new signing, is up there. Richard Robinson, who came through our academy last year, promoted him to the under-23s already, has serious potential. But strangely, I don't know if he's going to fit into our system because he's not really a ball-playing defender. He's only got 5 on passing. So he doesn't fit into our current tactic. But hopefully he will improve. I think he'll just be a really good centre-back. Like, solid at what a centre-back traditionally needs to do, I suppose. But maybe he won't really adapt for the modern game. But he's got really good potential. Lewis Shepherd, of course. Simon Leach, who came through our academy last year, is another player to watch out for. I like the look of him. Turco, of course, or Turco. Dan Suarez came through our academy as well last year. There's some talented players in this team. Once again, we've not been invited to the under-23 Premier League thing, which is frustrating. We've got the top youth academy possible. It's nothing to do with that. It's simply because once upon a time I rejected it, and since then they haven't invited me, and it's probably because there's no places or something like that. I don't really know. Under 18s, there's no one that I haven't shown you. Best player, other than Robinson, Morelli, Leach and Suarez, is Tony Byrne, an Irishman. So I've got high hopes for this season. Obviously I want to win everything. The aim is to try and win the quadruple. That is always going to be the aim from this day forward. But I also want to try and promote the youth, play the youth as much as possible, especially against weaker opposition. So let's move on. After only 3 games this season, we've already won 2 competitions, the Community Shield and the European Super Cup. We beat Chelsea 2-1 after extra time. Olmo opened the scoring in the 81st minute with an absolute stonker of a goal. Oxlade-Chamberlain equalised for Chelsea, but Belotti in the 117th minute gave us the win from a Dilrosun free kick. Just poked it home at the back post there on the volley. The next big game of the season was a 2-1 win against Spurs in the Premier League. Germano and Todibo with the goals that gave us all 3 points. But unfortunately, we lost at home against Man City 4-2. Skankov eventually became happy again. He's been so unhappy for the last few months. And as soon as he became happy, he started scoring goals. But it wasn't enough in this game. However, this was our first defeat of the season. We'd won every single Premier League game up to this point. We were also going well in the Champions League. Skankov with another 2 goals in this game. We beat Juventus 2-1. And a good solid 2-0 win against Arsenal, who had a very good season last year. A lot of the Premier League teams that are rivals with us have spent a lot of money. Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Spurs. They've got some quality players and they've spent big. But it's not been enough for them. Well, obviously Man City beat us, but hopefully we can stay above them in the table despite that loss. Max Aarons is having a fantastic season, by the way. He's just scored so many goals. I think this was a good goal. Let's just have a look. Yeah, look at that. Battered it in like a cod. However, only a few games later, a 5-2 defeat, absolutely mutilated by Liverpool. We just have such a feud with them, don't we? So unfortunately, we're not going to win the quadruple this year. The Carabao Cup is out of the question. We've been knocked out in the 4th round. Martinez and Belotti scored for us, but they were just far superior in this game. I even rested players in the previous Premier League match in preparation for this game, and it just wasn't enough. However, we continued to win games in the Premier League. This was a 3-1 win against Chelsea. 2 goals from Cameron Kemp, who's having a fantastic season, I must say. Belotti also, once again, scoring loads of goals this year. We thrashed Man United 5-0, completely overpowering them in this one. 4-0 win against Wolves. Belotti hat-trick. What a striker this guy is. And in the 19th Premier League game of the season, the halfway point of the season, we beat Liverpool 2-1. Belotti's actually missed a few penalties. He's our best penalty taker, but he just doesn't seem to be able to find the back of the net at the moment from the spot, which is a little bit frustrating. He scored a few penalties, but he's also missed a few. I'll just show you. He's got 16 goals in all competitions this season. Penalty-wise, he has scored 5, but he's missed 2. So he's missed 3 in all competitions. He scored 6 and missed 3. So it's not the best from him. Not entirely sure what's happening. But he is our top goal scorer. And this was such a crucial 3 points against Liverpool. It does mean that at the halfway stage of the season, we are comfortably clear of Man City and Liverpool. I was worried when we lost that game against Man City fairly early on in the season. But I think the biggest difference often is the number of games you draw. And we haven't drawn any games. We've won 18 and lost 1. So we've only dropped 3 points in total. When you start to draw games, obviously you're dropping 2 points here and there. But we've just been so consistent. We scored 52 goals. We're just destroying many, many teams. And we've only conceded 11. And this is how our Champions League group finished. Unbeaten. Finishing above Juventus, 5 wins and a draw. That was our only draw of the season so far. Really has been quite a strange season. We're scoring so many goals. Look at all the clean sheets as well. It's just been phenomenal. This tactic is working wonderfully well. But having said that, poor defeats against Man City and Liverpool where our defence fell apart. But that's pretty much the only times this season where it has fallen apart. But it is something to consider. later on in the season, perhaps when we're in a FA Cup final or Champions League final, etc., and we've taken on Liverpool, Man City, we have beaten Liverpool in the league, so we know we can beat them. And of course, we beat them last season in the Champions League final. So I don't really know what happened in this particular game, but we did fall apart in the Carabao Cup fourth round. But it has been brilliant, and there's been some fantastic individual performances, which we'll take a look at in a second. I just want to let you know that the board have improved the youth and training facilities again. I asked them to, and we've now got superb training facilities and state-of-the-art youth facilities, which I presume is the top rating you possibly can get to. I'll check to see if I can improve the training facilities anymore. We can, so let's ask. Let's go for that. Brilliant. So I assume the next step up for the training facilities will be state-of-the-art training facilities. I just want to improve the club as much as possible. I don't think there's anything else we can really do at the moment. Let's just double check. We don't want to decrease the youth level. We could improve the data analysis facilities, I suppose. There we go. Anything else? The board have just increased the wage budget, so I don't think we need to improve that anymore. I've asked for affiliate clubs a few times, but the board just don't want to know. It's pretty frustrating, really. I'd like to have an affiliate. Somewhere like Colombia, where I've been very good at signing young players from. If we can actually have a link with a club, have first option on those, that would be good. Anyway, individual performances this season. There's been some standout performances. I'll start with Max Aarons because he really has been spectacular this year. He's now got 5 caps and 1 goal for England. He actually played ahead of Trent Alexander-Arnold in the most recent England internationals. Perhaps Trent could play elsewhere on the pitch, but he was actually on the bench, which surprised me. So Max Aarons has just been so good. He's got 5 goals and 7 assists with a remarkable average rating, particularly in the Champions League. He is an elite fullback, one of the best right backs in the world. And he's still getting better. He's 24, so there's probably still room for some growth, especially mentally, I would say. So he really has been a standout player. Obviously, Belotti, who we've already looked at, 16 goals in 17 games this season. Did pick up a bit of an injury for 4 weeks, I think, so that's why he's not played as many games as some players. Cameron Kemp has been sensational. He's now 21 years old. Last year he was described as a wonder kid, but since 10 in 21, his media description has just changed to winger. But he might change into being an elite winger quite soon. He's scored 6 goals and 8 assists. He's gone from a 2.5-star current ability to 4-star quite recently. I think this fluctuates quite a lot because it depends on how well they're performing right now as well. So it is fluctuating up and down. Quite a few of the players, really. But he has been so good. So I have been playing him on the right wing, not as the inside forward. Obviously, we switch him to being a regular winger when he plays. Skankov has been good, but at the start of the season he was very unhappy. Since he got over the fact that he was unhappy about my coaching situation, he has improved, and obviously in the Champions League in particular, he's been very good with 3 goals and an assist in 4 appearances, 6 goals and 3 assists in the league as well. But I'm tempted to stick with Kemp here, because he's just been he scored against Liverpool in the most recent game. He scored in the game prior to that. There's no stopping him. Obviously, the star of our thumbnail today is Diangana, quite simply because that goal he scored in the Community Shield is an absolute banger. I might have to start putting these regen faces on West Ham players to feature them in the thumbnails before too long, because we're getting more and more regens, of course, featuring in the series now. So yeah, I'm very impressed with him. Declan Rice has been excellent in his deep line playmaker role. Of course, up until recently, he was playing in defensive midfield. But since moving to here, he has just been sensational. He's been creating opportunities. Only 2 assists, but his passing has been brilliant. It's just been all round. Like, the whole team has been amazing. And of course, if most of the team's playing well, the rest of the team tend to get good average ratings as well, which does obviously boost their ratings. But as you can see, pretty much everyone has played very well. There's a few players down here. I mean, Fornals hasn't played a huge amount this season, mainly coming off the bench. I'm tempted to sell him on in January or possibly the end of the season. I've kept him around because he's a model citizen. And he played very well last year. But it is something to think about. Perhaps I need to start thinking about moving him on, because I've been playing the likes of Shepherd instead in central midfield. I really like the look of him. Obviously, he's a wonder kid, and he is improving. So potentially I might sell for now, as we shall see. Botero has had limited game time because, of course, he brought in the American, and he scored 1 goal and also 1 goal in the leasing.com trophy for the under-23s. But I probably need to give him more of an opportunity, a fair opportunity. Talking about the American, Holguin has actually scored 8 goals in 9 starts and 7 sub-appearances. Now, I've scouted the American national team, and there are so many good players in this. Basically, a load of regions have been produced simply because we loaded in the American League, and it's artificially boosted them. They've basically got just consistent 3-star players across the whole squad. I wouldn't be surprised if they do well at the next World Cup as a result. They've actually got about 4 or 5 strikers of Holguin's quality. It's really weird. In the striker position in particular, they've just got so much strength and depth, which is why he's only got 1 cap. There's other players just as good as him that they're electing to play instead. And he is the 3rd top goal. I'm surprised Kankov is actually our 2nd top goal scorer with 9. But yeah, he's ahead of Holguin. Dilrison's got 7, who has got the most assists again. He's been so good once again. Maybe not quite as good as last year. And obviously Cameron Kemp is outshining everyone at the moment. He's wanted by Chelsea, Leicester and Man City. You are not going anywhere, my son. Looking at the under-23s, or the players out on loan in particular, there is one standout player. It's Raimundo Cassini, our striker. I don't know what Sheffield United are doing in training because everything's going down at the moment, which is a little bit frustrating. He did have 16 on finishing. What have they done to him? But he's having a very good season nonetheless. He's got 13 goals in the Championship, 15 in all competitions. Sheffield United currently top of the Championship, and he is top goal scorer. He has been brilliant. So I'm going to leave him there for the entire season. He'll hopefully help them get promoted. He'll continue to score goals, hoping he can turn this little bit of downward trajectory in regards to his attributes. Hopefully he can turn that around and improve. But it'll be a really good experience for him anyway in the Championship. So perhaps next year he'll come back and be in the first team. We shall see. Parma's doing well. MK Dons, 8 goals and 5 assists in League One. Our Russian winger is doing pretty well for Montpellier. He's got 7 goals in Ligue 1. Morelli as well had a really good start to his career at Portsmouth. He's only 17, remember, and we signed him for big money. He's it was the biggest gamble of all, I think, in the summer. But he's got 4 goals and 4 assists for a team that is currently down in 19th place in the Championship. So I don't think he's doing too badly considering the circumstances. Andelevic, our German, done all right for Paderborn, who are currently 7th in the Bundesliga, so they're having a decent season. Lesage, he scored the Champions League goal. Now he's playing for a very tough team. Birmingham City, expected to get relegated. I think they're predicted to finish bottom of the table. But despite his average rating not being the best, he's picked up 3 assists, and he's now described as a wonder kid. And he's improving, crossing up to 17, physically good. He's going to come back next year and possibly be our second choice ahead of Amato. I kind of feel like he's got more potential. Amato is described as a wonder kid as well, but he's already 20. So I'm tempted to bring Lesage back in January, but I think that would be a bad thing to do. I think he needs an entire year of first team Premier League football for Birmingham, who are fighting a relegation battle but doing pretty well, to be fair to them. I think that makes sense to leave him there and allow him to develop, and then we'll see what happens next year. I suppose he'll be battling for that second right-back spot behind Max Aarons. I think that's everything I want to talk about, apart from actually transfers. There's loads of players coming in January, if we just have a look. There's a few players coming in next January, 2026, but there's also plenty of Colombians coming in and also some Americans who have managed to sign on a free. Like I said, loads of regions have suddenly been born, quite a few of them 17, 18, 19 as well, and you're able to sign them on free contracts. So where's an example? Kevin Nava, who looks pretty good. He's got decent potential. He's 19, very good potential. I probably won't be able to get work permits for these players, so I think I'll have to loan them out, preferably to European teams. And same with the Colombians. There's so many players. Like, I've had about 4 or 5 Colombians ready to come in to the club for the last 2 years, waiting for them to be old enough to join. So there's going to be lots of activity in the January transfer window, and obviously I'll update you in episode 12. But thank you for watching episode 11. It's been a very successful first half of the season, apart from crashing out in the Carabao Cup. So once again this season, we're not going to complete the quadruple. That is something to aim for next year, but it looks very likely that we're going to win our 4th Premier League title in a row, our 5th in total in the 6 seasons of this series. We're going strong in the Champions League. Hopefully we can go on and win that again for a 3rd time in a row. And the FA Cup as well. Hopefully we can perform better in that competition than last year. We're taking on our rivals Millwall, who were relegated last season, looking to get one over on their bitter rivals. We'll end it there then. Thank you for watching. Once again, thank you for the support on this series. It is very much appreciated. As always, I am thoroughly enjoying this style of just updating you, really. We have the odd live match at the end of each season. I just think this works, and it's actually allowing me to play the game much faster. As I've said before, I'm not making or creating videos because it is a long process making a video. Obviously, I have to play the matches in between. I then have to record the video. I then need to actually edit the video, watch it through, make sure it's fine, upload the video, and then repeat constantly, especially if I'm doing 5 or 6 matches between each episode. So that is why it does take longer to play through a season when I'm doing a traditional Let's Play. This works well for me. I'm able to play the game in the background as well whilst I'm doing other things. And it works. And in my day job at the moment, I'm quite busy. So this style is suiting me. I would like to do another Let's Play series, but I'm just worried I won't have the time to actually dedicate to it. So we'll see. And of course, experiments as well. They will come back eventually. I'm just having a little bit of a break from experiments, focusing on this, getting the Regen Rovers series from FM19 completed. Once that's out the way, then I'll have a bit more time to do other things as well. If you haven't done so already, please leave a like. That'd be much appreciated. Until next time, enjoy FM20. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you very soon.